will now address us, and they embody UVU's broad outreach to a student body with remarkably diverse backgrounds. The first, Nathaniel Robinson, represents those students receiving their associate degrees. And he is an example of UVU's outreach to local schools where the outstanding students take concurrent enrollment courses offered by UVU while still attending high school. Nathaniel, remarkably, has completed an associate's degree in mathematics, one of the most challenging disciplines at any university with exceptionally high academic performance. What is even more impressive, however, is that he achieved this accomplishment entirely during his high school years and graduates from UVU today with his associate's degree before he graduates from high school a short while from now. One of his professors in the Department of Mathematics said of him, "His mathematical work is presented in a sophisticated style that I would expect to see only in the work of a much more advanced student. His work is very carefully and beautifully done and perfect in every way." Daniel?
Thank you, Dean Fairbanks, for that introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow graduates, distinguished guests, on a day like today, when we focus on the future, it's easy to think of college as but a necessary step on the path to our careers. This can be especially true for those of us who study math and science and health. But today, I'd like to highlight another purpose of education. Becoming an educated person does not mean memorizing a collection of facts or even mastering a set of skills. It means learning to see the world in a new way. It means learning to use the knowledge we've gained to affect the world around us. Last summer, I had a rather interesting experience. In June, I wrecked my mother's car, which was a distressing accident for me at such a young age. But the experience I want to tell you about happened several days later. I was working as an intern at the University of Utah Surface Analysis Lab, and I had to take the train to work each day. I had to get driven to the station because of the car accident. And as I stood on the tracks train that morning, I was feeling down and sorry for myself. I wondered how I could have been so irresponsible. My mother needed that car, and replacing it would be a lot of trouble. Just then, a woman walked into the train car crying. Actually, she was sobbing conspicuously. My heart went out to her. I noticed the other passengers turning away uncomfortably, trying to ignore her. So I asked myself, should I try to comfort her, or should I leave her alone? After several minutes of intense deliberation, I decided I should try talking to her. I could at least offer my companionship. Somewhat awkwardly, I walked over and asked, "Hey, is something wrong?" Maybe not the most tactful way to start a conversation. She replied, "Yes, I'm all right. I just have so many emotions inside." She assured me that I didn't need to worry, still with tears in her eyes, and then got off the train mumbling, "I just need a cigarette." After her abrupt departure, I felt like I had blown it. In my mind, I'd likely only exacerbated her problem by making her feel self-conscious in front of everyone. I hadn't even let her know that I'd empathize with her feeling sad. I spent the next few weeks looking for her on the train so that I could somehow set things straight. Then a number of weeks later, she turned up on the other side of the train car I was in. She looked fine, and she was definitely not crying. I momentarily considered approaching her again. I had rehearsed what I wanted to say by way of an explanation/apology, but I suddenly felt that everything was all right. Having an educated mind means being mindful of the needs of others. I consider that my desire to help, at least, was a mark of the education I've received here at UVU and elsewhere. But the way I handled the situation was largely based on emotion and perhaps not even for the best. I think that part of becoming an educated person means tempering our desires and emotions. The dilemma I encountered was certainly a challenge, but not an academic one. It was a test of how my education has affected my intentions and feelings, which ultimately determine my actions. The author David Foster Wallace once said, "It is extremely difficult to stay alert and attentive. Learning how to think really means learning how to exercise some control over how and what you think. It means being conscious and aware enough to choose what you pay attention to and to choose how you construct a meaning from experience," end quote. I think that's a large part of what our education is all about, modifying our consciousness to increase our capacity for good. And not just good on the grand scientific discovery type scale, but good throughout our lives in the little moments all around us. I hope that we can all take the education we've received here at UVU and be mindful of the opportunities it presents us to impact the lives of others. Thank you.
McCall Thornton represents students receiving